Hey everybody, it's Beth. Welcome to Infinite Garden. Today I have a full face of Jones Road beauty to share with you. A couple of weeks ago, I finally broke down and I purchased my first order from Jones Road. I purchased the What the Foundation, a Miracle Balm, and a face pencil. It only took a couple of weeks before I placed a second order so I could do a full face. I tried 8 different products in total. I purchased all of these with my own money, and these opinions are 100% my own. I'll show you how I got the look I have on my face right now, and I'll tell you what I think about these different products. If that sounds good to you, please stay tuned. Before I jump to the application, I wanted to talk a little bit about Bobbi Brown the person and her history and this brand. I'll be sharing some B-roll footage of the products that I purchased while I talk over it. Bobbi Brown was born in 1957 and she is an American entrepreneur. She has been called by Allure magazine the world's patron saint of natural makeup. Bobbi Brown is also the author of several books about beauty and makeup, and she was just a mainstay during the 90s. She launched her brand, Bobbi Brown, in 91. It was bought by Estee Lauder in 95, and she remained at the helm until 2016. In 2016, she stepped down, and there was a 4-year gap between leaving Bobbi Brown and launching Jones Road in 2020. Her entry into makeup came about the same time when the spell of 80s excess was fading and the new point of view of the 90s was coming into effect. Bobbi Brown was right there leading the way, creating makeup that was incredibly wearable. Fast forward to 2020, when Bobbi Brown releases Jones Road, in a lot of ways we're at a similar cultural point. The spell of the beauty influencer was beginning to break. The pandemic, which of course you couldn't have seen coming, lined up with a completely different point of view for folks about what they wanted makeup to do. The idea here to focus on makeup as skincare was of course right on time with the shifts that were happening. Her product line has been on my radar since it launched, but I am personally a chronically late adopter, and I admit to being a little late to the party, but I'm here and I would love to share my thoughts with you. Let's jump back to about an hour ago and I'll walk you through the products that I purchased.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
My skin is prepped just with skincare. I've got some moisturizer on and nothing else. And I'm going to go right in with the What the Foundation by Jones Road. It's 1.14 ounces, so just slightly more than you normally get in a foundation. And I've worn it 19 times. You can kind of see the dip that's in there. My foundation did not arrive separated. I watched a number of reviews, including Angie Hot and Flashy's, where hers arrived and the oil had separated, so that's definitely possible with this formula. Mine arrived in March and I live in a cold climate, so I don't think it was exposed to heat, which I think could obviously separate it. So mine has been integrated like this the whole time. So if one of the reasons you were not interested in it is because it looked kind of like messy and weird, I understand that. That was my first thought as well. It hasn't been my experience with the jar that arrived at my house. So what I end up doing with this is just, dipping my finger in and getting a little bit out here so you can kind of see. I'm just going to start there and I'm going to dip in a couple of times as I go through this. So I usually just start kind of right at the center and focus on where I have some redness. I'm prone to redness. My skin is in pretty good shape, but I'm 44. I have, some texture. I have some discoloration from sun damage. I was usually pretty responsible, but I did make some mistakes in my life with sunscreen, and I do have a little bit to cover up. This is no doubt a light coverage foundation. I think it compares really well to the Chanel Sublimage, another one I love. It's the other cream foundation that I currently have. The Chanel Sublimage I think offers a little bit higher coverage than the What the Foundation, but I think it feels similar on the skin. It feels like skincare, and once you've put it on and it's soaked into the skin, it just feels like you have moisturizer on. It's what I like about both of these products. So I think this one compares pretty favorably to the Sublimage. I think the Sublimage formula is slightly more elegant, and you wouldn't have to worry about the separation that I've seen other people deal with. But it also has a really strong perfumey fragrance. This one does too. I will say that it has I'm having a little bit of a harder time smelling it now. It's maybe eucalyptus. I should have looked that up. I'll flash it up if it's something else. But it smells kind of like a spa, frankly, a little eucalyptus-y. I haven't put any on my neck. You can see the match here, and you can see the difference in the sheen. I'm going to just smooth out some areas with a synthetic foundation brush. Some of the reviews that I watched that were positive were Khaki Reviews Beauty. She reviewed it recently. And, you know, that was one of the reviews that made me think it might be a good fit. She loves the Chanel Sublimage. And for her to also like this one and think that it gave her a look that she wanted, it made sense to me that, you know, maybe I might like it too. I also watched Angie Hot and Flashy's review, and she had a harder time with it. She felt like it enhanced her texture in a way that she didn't desire. And so that one also was kind of interesting to me. My experience with this foundation, and I'll just stop here, is that after 19 days of wearing it straight, this arrived on March 14th. I've worn it every single day since it arrived. I have found it to be an excellent foundation. I'm okay with the light coverage. In the 19 days that I have worn this is the 20th day right here, I have tried this product on every primer I had available to me. That includes Danessa Myricks' Yummy Skin Primer, which is an oil-based kind of a luminous primer. This performed beautifully over that. It also performed beautifully over Pat McGrath's primer, which is formulated for a thin liquid foundation. So it had no trouble with that one as well. I've also noticed that this foundation, over the course of the day, if you do not powder it, it still looks good, I think, for the rest of the day because your skin is so hydrated after using it. So I think my shade match is good, but I will say that I think the way the shades are named is slightly off. So for instance, I chose the second lightest shade, which is described as fair, and the site describes it as fair with neutral undertones. I usually prefer neutral foundation colors. I would consider myself light in the winter and light medium in the summer. Fair is usually not the word to describe the right match for me often. By other point of comparison, in the Bobbi Brown skin foundation line, I do use the color beige. I also like Pat McGrath's Light 5. Those are my best foundation matches. And so I did find that for me, if you're my foundation twinsy, I have found fair to be a really good match. Maybe that's because it's light coverage and a little more forgiving, but I really do feel like this is pretty deep for fair. So the face pencil is the concealer option, and this comes in a sharpenable wooden pencil format, which I love. You get 2.9 grams or 0.1 ounces of product. By comparison, like the Kosas concealer is 0.2, and in the Merit foundation stick you get 0.23, so you do get a little more product in these formats. I've been using this as an under eye brightener and even sometimes as an eyeshadow base, which it works pretty well for, so that's what I'm going to do right now. I have found that this really does a good job of covering the blueness around my eyes from my veins. So I'm just going to brush that out so you can see the difference between my two eyes. I'm going to use a dense concealer brush. This one's from Trixie Cosmetics. I would say this formula is on the drier end of the spectrum, although it blends beautifully, and I would say over the course of the day, it doesn't break up and become cakey the way other drier formulas can sometimes. So I'm just going to zoom in for 1 second just so you can kind of see the difference between my two eyes. This eye just has a little bit of What the Foundation kind of pulled up here, and this one has the face pencil all around the eye. I'm going to do just a little bit around my nose where I can get redness, and then I'm going to finish up the other eye and be right back. So I do really like this product, and I like the idea of it being in a pencil. Just one word of caution, if you do purchase this, you have to make sure that you have a pencil sharpener that can handle a wider end. This is the pencil. It's pretty worn down now at this point because I've been using it like crazy. So that's the one thing, if you do buy this, make sure you have a wider aperture in your pencil sharpener. All right. Okay, so this is the Miracle Balm that I purchased. I purchased it in Miami Beach. It's a newly released shade. It's a bright coral. One of the first things that you notice when you open this is the smell. It has that eucalyptus scent again. That doesn't bother me, but if you are sensitive to smells, and that smell in particular, I don't know that you could enjoy using this. It asks you to break the surface of the balm. I tried that here just to see what that would be like. And I didn't see that it was really that different from me just kind of pressing my fingers in. So I've just been going in like I showed you and then patting it lightly into my cheeks. Let me come in a little bit. So what you get is a really natural sort of balmy finish. It's almost barely there, but you can build it. What I like about that is that it doesn't get totally out of control. In these 19 days, I have used both cream and powder blushes with the What the foundation, and both work beautifully on this formula. And I also put just a little bit on my lips. The Balm format is very nourishing and it feels great, so it actually does feel like it's doing something beyond just providing a little bit of color. What's interesting to me about the Miracle Balm as a product line is that the colors that are offered also relate to the different ways that you can use this. So on her website, she says that some of these colors are good for applying all over your face. I don't think you would use Miami Beach that way. I think Miami Beach is really meant to be this kind of sunny blush color, but there are some that are lightly tinted that, if matched with the correct skin tone, would provide kind of just like a healthy overall balmy glow. I do think that if you wanted to use it all over the face, that this would feel really wonderful. It has like almost like a chapsticky feeling, but not as sturdy as that. It's an oil-based product and it becomes oily and it feels like skincare when it's on the face. It's pretty lovely. Just to add a little bit of highlight, I'm going to use one of these face shimmer oils. The product itself to me immediately read as a spot liquid highlighter because it looks like other liquid highlighters that I have used. I wasn't really sure which color to pick, and this one might be a little too pink for me, but it is useful as a liquid highlighter. I also noticed on her website that she said this was a good product to use all over the face. I'm going to include some photos here of what this looks like all over the face with nothing else. This looks a lot like the finish of my favorite sunscreen. I like to use Clinique's Pep Start. I didn't mind this at all as a primer. She also says you can use this as skincare, which is interesting because it does have a cosmetic impact on one's face. But I can also see that this would feel really good as a face oil if you like that during the day. So today I'm just going to use this as a little bit of highlight, and I want to show you how this comes out. So one full pump is enough to cover your whole face. So because I'm just going to use a little bit here to add additional shine to my already very balmy face, I'm just going to carefully pump a little bit out on my finger, and that is something that this pump does allow you to do. So I have that much on my finger, and this will go a long way. She says that on her website too. So I just took a little bit more, and I'm just gonna dot this here. You can see this warms up really fast and provides quite a lot of shine. I have figured out for me that I don't actually need to be too precise the way I would with a powder highlight, because the highlight here is subtle enough and it blends enough with the other shiny factors in the foundation and the balm that I don't end up thinking that it looks like I've gone too far with it. I'm just gonna put a little bit in the center, maybe just a little bit on my nose, a little bit on my chin. I will be powdering over this later, but I just wanted to show you what that looks like. I'm curious to see if I use this in the summer months, because if it's really hot and I know I'll be outside, I'll use that Clinique Pep Start to get the same kind of illuminating look, and then maybe sometimes no foundation at all. I don't know if I would use that plus this. I just need to play around with this a little more and see, but I think it's an interesting product. So for brows, I'm going to try her brow pencil. I have it in the shade Ash. So I've had this product a week and I have dulled the tips. So I just sharpened it. I think this product is probably ideal if you mostly have pretty full eyebrows and you don't need to get too much precision if you're just sort of like sweeping it through and filling it. I think that's what this is best for. Sometimes I find that I have to go back in with a different kind of more precise detail brow pencil to fill in a couple of holes that I have in my sparse brows. But I do think that this color is nice, especially if you are like me and you have silver hair and you're kind of managing a little bit of, you know, your salt and pepper and you like an ash color. So this is what it looks like from one side to the other. I think it provides a nice bit of color that looks pretty natural. Here are these brows together. I like this product if you are looking for an overall wash of color, and I like the amount that you get in this wooden pencil format. So I like this. If you require a sharp point or sharp definition in your brows, I think that you would need additional products to provide that for you. This seems really on brand for Jones Road. It's so interesting to see Bobbi Brown positioning herself again at this new era of makeup with a new brand. And she's, I think in some ways, really challenging the previous 10 years obsession with these like perfect brows. At least that's how it seems to me. Okay, so I'm just going to put in a little bit of brow gel. I'm using the last of this Pixie brow gel I picked up when I did a bunch of drugstore reviews last fall. If you have watched other makeup videos on my channel, I really like eyeshadow. So I was curious about her eyeshadow formula. So I bought two. I bought a matte formula and a shimmer. Regarding the price point, I think these eyeshadows are expensive. Each one of these is $25, but it does contain quite a lot of product. It contains 0.1 ounces of product. This compares pretty closely to an entire Natasha Denona 5-pan mini palette. And I think this is interesting because if you really are the type of person who just wants to use the same eyeshadow every day, just as your signature look, simple, just brush it on, I think her colors are good. And if that's the type of eyeshadow experience you want to have, I think this eyeshadow can give it to you. I just think for people who like a little more variety, people like me, I think that this is actually a little expensive. So if you bought 4 of these, you would spend $100, which is about the cost of a Tom Ford quad. I tried it first on an unprimed eye. I do not recommend that. I definitely recommend primer. I'm gonna go in with Ash right now, and I'm going to use this Trixie Cosmetics brush. I changed my battery, and I think a bunch of my presets changed on my camera. I hope that the focus isn't totally out of control. So when I was placing my order for the eyeshadow, I dithered a little bit about which color I wanted to get. The price was high enough that I didn't want to buy more than 2. I knew I wanted to try a matte and a shimmer version of the formula. I do like this ash color. I have learned through a little bit of exploration since I went gray that I do like a gray taupe, cool toned neutral eyeshadow. I feel like it's pretty flattering with my hair, and I also find that it's a nice support system for a bright, vibrant lip, which I also really like to wear. One of the things that's really obvious to me is that Bobbi Brown's intelligence for color is still present here. I think what I'm trying to say about this eyeshadow is that I see what it is that she's doing here. I see what she's trying to do. I think she's trying to give us the one eyeshadow that we need, or the 2 eyeshadows that we need, and she's giving us a lot of it. I like that it has a good mirror. The mirror here that's in this little compact is big enough and powerful enough that it could be all you need. So in terms of the way the packaging is, this is, I think, the ideal packaging for if you wanted to have a slimmed down, super quick makeup bag that you threw in your gym bag, or if you were traveling, that type of thing. You could just grab your little Jones Road eyeshadow, pop it in, and know that if you throw one decent fluffy blender brush in, you can just get some color on your eyes and end up looking really pretty without having a half an hour worth of sculpting and cut creasing and all kinds of other things going on. I think that what Bobbi Brown is doing with these eyeshadows, it looks subtle and it looks a little bit like whatever, but I think she is ushering in this next generation of what our makeup is going to look like. Putting words in her mouth, but I feel like this is Bobbi Brown saying some of us don't need all of that. Some of us don't want 15 or 30 pan palettes. So this is just the matte eyeshadow. I could absolutely stop here and go on with my day, but we're gonna add a little shimmer. I'm just gonna use the very same brush I just used, and I picked up just a little bit in the center. And I'm going to put just a little bit with this angled brush on my lower lash too. And that's it. I would buy the Jones Road Best Eyeshadow over Glossier Monochromes. I'm not necessarily sure that I would recommend it over Natasha Denona or Pat McGrath, but also these are very, very different in style and in point of view. I have found that I actually have been enjoying this low-key, super simple eyeshadow look, specifically when I'm going into the office. I've been going into the office a lot more lately, and I'm always strapped for time. I've found that really the whole Jones Road jam, everything that this is extremely friendly to those of us who have to get out the door. The eyeshadow doesn't even seem to be leading you down the path of precision necessarily. The eyeshadow wants to be a wash, but it also wants to be glamorous. So this is what I've been doing with the eyeshadow, easy peasy. I didn't pick up her eyeliner because I am swimming in eyeliners, but I am very curious about it. I'm going to use Pat McGrath's Black Coffee, and I'm just going to tight line and maybe just a little bit of something on the corner. So I'll just do that right now and come back. I did pick up the Jones Road The Mascara, it's what it's called, in Pitch Black. I think this is a pretty good mascara. It won't move into my favorites, I don't think, because I think it gets a little cray-cray. One of my favorite mascaras ever is the Bobbi Brown Smoky Eye Mascara. I really like how glam that one is without looking spidery. I think this formula is a little more spidery ultimately in its effect than that one. And look, and this is the other thing. This is my own fault. This is not her fault. But I keep getting it in my hair. I keep getting the mascara directly in my hair. That's me, that's not her. So this is one coat on top lashes only, and this is my natural lash. So I'm gonna go one more and let it get a little more spidery. But this is buildable, people. It is buildable. And this can get, like I said, kind of cray-cray fast. I'm gonna put a little on the lower lashes. I'm gonna be that girl. One thing that's always been interesting to me about Bobbi Brown is that she isn't afraid of glam. The makeup is natural and the colors that she's choosing are meant to enhance your natural beauty, but she doesn't shy away from the glamorous effect that makeup can give you. And I think this mascara is a statement of that. Given that she was producing a more natural looking makeup line here with this brand Jones Road, I think it's very telling that the only mascara she releases is in pitch black, not brown black, pitch black, and it produces a tubing glamorous effect. I think that's interesting. I think this mascara is in line with Dior Show and with Pat McGrath's Dark Star. I'm curious to see how this wears in. I have had it for 1 week. I also find that when I take it off at night, it's a little harder to remove. I tend to like my mascaras to melt off pretty easily at night just because I don't want to tug or rub on my lashes or my eyes, but that is the case. I have found that when I use my first wash, my cream wash, to break down my makeup, it doesn't work all the way on this mascara, and it does on others. But then when I follow up with my soap face wash, the sudsing one, it will take away all of the mascara then. I don't need to go in with a specific eye makeup remover, but I did find this to be a little more tenacious than I was expecting. This mascara is $26. That's about the same as the Clinique High Impact Mascara that I think is one of my very favorites. I find that particular mascara to provide a glamorous effect without getting necessarily so spidery and clumpy. This particular mascara is not going to unseat that for my favorite day-to-day, like office-ready mascara. I'm also not ready to say that it defeats my, Dark Star mascara, which is one of my favorites. I think the most interesting thing about the mascara is that she went so hard for an ultra glam, ultra black mascara to complement her line. She's making a makeup line, even if it is more natural leaning. This brings us to the lip gloss. I bought it in the color Pastel Pink. It has an angled tip, and the gloss itself is quite pigmented. So I'm just going to apply this squeezy gloss right on top of my lips, and I'm using the lightest amount possible. I find if I squeeze a bunch out and try to get it everywhere, that the pigment will gather up and kind of, show up in certain spots. So I don't recommend using a whole lot of it. It's called Cool Gloss. I think it has peppermint in it. and it does feel good on the lips. This is perfect. Actually, I was going to show you what this does. So I put it on my lower lip and then I smacked my lips together, and you can kind of, maybe you can see the pigment does gather up and forms a line that if you use this much, you kind of have to tap it out. So if you were like applying this blind, you know, in your car or just like at your desk or whatever, I think you have to be a little careful that you're not getting this pigment everywhere. I think this is really pretty, and I think it looks great with the Miami Beach. I'll just show you the products side by side so you can kind of see how they relate to one another. I picked these together for this reason. I thought those would look pretty together, and I think they do. The only thing that I have to say about this look is that I do think it needs some powdering. I am going to go ahead and powder. For that, I'm going to use the Kosas Cloud Set, and I use the color Feathery, but I think it might be actually a little too dark. And again, I'm under really bright light, so it's like maximally shiny, but I do think that it's too shiny for me in the mirror here. Like I can see that this isn't necessarily how I want to roll. So here I have powdered just this side of my face. I still think that in person, my skin looks luminous and very well moisturized, hydrated. And this is how shiny it is on this side. I was very tempted by the Jones Road bronzers, but I held myself back because I have, you know, at the end of last year, I purchased the Gucci bronzer in the color 01. And it's such a beautiful product that I'm just going to focus on using this one. When and if I work through this product and need to repurchase, I might knock on Jones Road's door. I respect Bobbi Brown's color intelligence, and so when it does come time for me to purchase a new bronzer, I think I will go looking for her. Okay, so just to recap, I dipped out of the Jones Road product line for my brow gel, face powder, bronzer, and my eyeliner. But otherwise, you're looking at a relatively full face of Jones Road makeup. What I think about the way this looks is that it is very pretty, and I think that it is, for me, practical for my day-to-day life. This is the kind of makeup I would 100% wear into the office. I would wear this to meet anybody in person, and I would wear this kind of makeup on vacation. I kept thinking as I was using this product line how unfussy and effective it is, and how nice it would be to bring with me on a voyage of some sort. You know, these products are mostly packaged in these nice, durable, simple containers, and the aesthetic and point of view of Jones Road really does appear to be sort of like, make this easy on me. I think it's inherently practical and respectful of the people who will be wearing this. I think it works beautifully on my 44-year-old skin that is in pretty good shape, but by no means perfect. And I feel overall that it is really pretty and very of the moment. Bravo to Bobbi Brown for showing up at the point of change in our culture and in our sense of style. Yet again, I think these products are lovely. I was really happy to try them. The only product I do not think that I will purchase again is the mascara. I don't know that it's really all that for me, although I can't argue with how this looks. I can't argue with what my lashes look like right now. They look glamorous and long, so I don't hate it. I really don't. I just don't think I'll repurchase it. Everything else though, I think is really pretty interesting. I don't know that I won't try a different Miracle Balm. I'm kind of curious about the ones that are less pigmented that can be used all over. And I'm interested in the lip and cheek stick product and the bronzers. I think overall, this is a makeup look that I'm really comfortable wearing right now. It feels modern and current. The feel on my face is very comfortable and nourishing. I really like how that feels. In the past few weeks when I've been wearing this makeup, I've been wearing it all day, and I do not find that it falls apart in the middle or end of the day. I haven't seen any negative ramifications from the oily nature of these products. I wasn't sure how that would work. I think it's worked pretty well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried these products? Is there anything else that you would like me to try out and share with you? Feel free to ask me any more questions down below. I really want to hear what you think of this, of Bobbi Brown, of Bobbi Brown's previous brand, makeup in general. I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a like. I also invite you to subscribe. I post a video once a week and I would love to have you here. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well out there and I hope you have a great week ahead. Thank you so much for watching. Talk soon.